Grand Risings. Today is Sunday, April 17th, and this is your Shekinah Wisdom Podcast. Today, my lovelies, today is Soulful Sunday. On Soulful Sunday is a check where we do that soul check, right? That's a deep check, right? To make sure that everything is balanced. And in doing that soul check, you have to realize that sometimes, in order for you to achieve what you truly need and truly desire, sometimes it requires you walking away from something. Walking away doesn't always constitute physical walking away. It can also be a release, a mental release. It can be an emotional release of things that no longer serve your highest good. When you let those things go, you can actually call in what you truly desire, right? But you can't do it at the same time. It can't happen simultaneously. You can't have what you don't want and want at the same time. You have to pick a lot. Do you want to go with what you do want, or do you want to go with what you don't want? It's up to you to decide. But once you do release those things that are not for your highest good, you can call in what is going to help evolve your soul. See, there's a soul evolution that is going on too. And the soul evolution is something that is activated internally, right? When you activate that soul activation, right, you start moving like you are aligned with your purpose. Right? And how do you find that out? It takes self-exploration. Like, until you truly are comfortable with yourself, it's going to be hard for you to entertain others, because people that come into our lives are a reflection of us, whether in our higher or lower self. And when you realize that, you'll start making the changes accordingly and realize that you have a lot more power and control over what comes in and out of your life than you give yourself credit for. It's just that we tend to settle is what brings the unsavory circumstances. Why do we settle? Sometimes we settle because we feel like we've reached our pinnacle and that we're not going to achieve more if we continue on. So we settle in the situation that we're in. But that is just fear. That's false evidence appearing real. You have to transmute that energy and actually turn it into something that will be useful and beneficial for you and your future. Right? If you are presented in situations where you feel that people are gossiping and, operating in a lower vibration, you have to know how to walk away from those situations too. Why? Because people that engage in that activity, this is one thing that I was always taught since I was a child, that if that same person that is telling you about others will be telling others about you, right? Because that is that person's nature, right? Backbiting can only occur with participation. And if you don't participate in those type of actions, you don't have to deal with the full wrath of going through those situations, right? When people are talking about you, that's because you're doing something right in most cases, right? And whatever it is that you're doing right, they have to shine a negative light on. Why? Because they feel that your achievements has something to do with theirs. But your achievements are simply that. Your achievements. It has nothing to do with anybody outside of you. It's about what you bring to the table. Right? And when you focus on what you bring to the table, you can perfect yourself. Don't you ever compare yourself to anyone else. Right? Because what do I always tell you? You got the job of you for a reason. Why did you get that job? Because no one else was qualified. And you weren't qualified to fill anybody else's role either. You were qualified for the role that you were given. And that is the role that you need to take seriously. Stop focusing on what the next man is doing. Don't engage in idle gossip and chatter, right? Because that will multiply. The only time you should be talking about someone is if you're coming up with a plan to lift them up. But if you know that you constantly tearing people down just so that you can feel good about yourself, then that means that you are dealing with a level of toxicity that needs to be eradicated. You shouldn't ever feel like in order for you to shine that you have to tear somebody else down in the process. Especially if those people were there for you. Because that tends to happen in social circles, right? When someone is comparing their lives to yours and they feel like you have something more than them or you achieved something at a time that they didn't. And then now they want to put sand in your gears. What is sand in your gears? Sand in your gears, if you ever throw sand in any gears, it's going to stop, right? Because of the friction. And the only thing you should put on gears is oil. But we throw a lot of sand at one another instead of helping each other grow. When you see that a person is constantly backbiting others when they're not around, that shows you that person is dealing with some inner childhood issues that need to be resolved. Usually, that stems from a place of insecurity, a feeling that you are not enough. And if you ever feel like this, I want you to know that you are enough. Remember, that's why you got the job of you. Knock it off. Stop comparing yourself to others. Do what you came here to do, right? Like the intimidation factor is what has us at this current state that we are in today. If you look around, because people are not proud of who they are. They'd rather be someone else. And since they're not somebody else, some people will do whatever they could do to tear you down in the process, but you can't let them. Right? Because that person just came to show you how great you truly are, if you know how to look at it properly. But they're also here to show you that there are hurt people around that are hurting others. And it's not coming directly from a place of malice, even though it does seem malicious. It's coming from a place of wounding. That wounding, if you look at situations holistically, then you can get out of that tit for tat battle, right? That's why I'm so glad that I was given so much humble pie on my journey, because karmically, if I didn't receive as much humble pie as I did, my life would have been a mess, a wreck. Because there was a time where I was operating from that same hurt place that I'm telling you about, where I was a hurt person hurting others. But I had to transmute that energy. Why? Because it wasn't beneficial to me or anyone around me. And I was allowing my past to continue to haunt and punish me, rather than letting all of that anger and resentment go and moving on to where I'm supposed to be. You don't ever have to tear down anyone to get to where you're going. How about that? Because when you arrive at the place that you're supposed to be, guess what? People that are not supposed to be in that position, you don't have to tear them down. They will vacate the seat because they know that that's what you are sent here to do. But do you know? See, the life will give us these circumstances to remind us of who we are, so that we can start valuing us. So we can start valuing your inner me, your inner self, right? I call that my inner me. And make sure you don't ever make your inner me an enemy, right? Because your inner self is the one that lets you know about all of the red flags. Your inner self is the one that lets you know that people are gaslighting you. but we forsake our inner selves, right? We ignore it, but like, nah, but that person said, your inner self has no reason to lie to you. You have to learn how to trust it. When you've been gaslighted, sometimes it's difficult to trust yourself again. But if you take the time out and spend time with yourself, get to know you better, you'll start trusting you again. You know, trust issues come from within. It's not about trusting people so much as it is trusting yourself to discern a difference. My lovelies, today on this Soulful Sunday, I want you to do that necessary soul work that's going to help you grow, prosper, and achieve your dreams. But know and understand that backbiting, gossiping, and all of those things will hold you back. Right? Because you're not seeing the good in the situations, right? You're not helping the situation. You know, and so we got to ask ourselves, when you find yourself in that position of backbiting others or kicking someone else's back in or tearing someone else down, you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? What place within me thinks that this is okay? And heal that part of you. Like I said, hurt people hurt people. When people spread malicious gossip and lies and things like that, it's because they're wounded and hurt. A lot of times it's because they feel like you're outshining them and they don't want that. Yeah, people do deal with ego issues. There are narcissistic people that are running around and they don't even know they're wounded. So they're getting blood on everybody and, you know, spreading germs because they have no idea that they're even cut. You know, they're too busy living in those past events. The only way your past can continue to hurt you is by you keep replaying those events over and over. The present is given to you. It's a gift. So you can make changes. But if you're using that gift, if you're utilizing that gift and you're staying in the same place and you're not making any changes, what is that saying about you? This is what we must ponder. If you need further support on your healing journey, head over to shekinahwisdom.com where you can book an appointment. If you want art therapy, head over to iamucollection.com. And if you simply want to support the work we do here, you can Cashapp Unearthing of Truth. All right, my lovelies, you have a wonderful, amazing, soulful Sunday.